完璧などありえない。この世界は不完全だ。だから美しい。
もうバカ
何？
俺は海賊王になる。
待って、なんて美味しさなの。
力を渡した時に言ったことを覚えているかい？くれ。違う、そこじゃない。
変態遅い。
Hello, and welcome to More Than Hentai, a podcast that is here to show you that anime is far more than just tentacles and catgirls. There's countless stories of love, loss, laughs, hope, horror, and happiness that are just dying to be found. And I, Brendan White, the Salt and Pepper Senpai, am here to help you find them. More Than Hentai is proudly powered by 8-Bit and those sexy audio legends over at Audio Technica. Go upgrade your audio game today over at audio-technica.com. And joining me on this episode is quite the talented individual. We're not only podcasting, cosplaying, or streaming, can also be found writing and creating music under his Pyrite brand. He's one of the very first friends I made on this podcasting journey many moons ago. And he also enjoys anime such as Fullmetal Alchemist, Bakano, Durarara, Soul Eater, and Anohana. You can find him on them socials at Sammy Deege, which is SAMMYDEEDGE. Sam, welcome to the Riverside Studio, my friend. How might you be doing?
I am doing fantastically, as always. You know, it's always lovely to be on the receiving end of one of those intros, which is ever so lovely. But before it slips my mind, I have to ask you a question that every time I listen to the show comes to mind, and I completely forget to ask. Is that Nani? Is that Ghost Stories? Is that the Ghost Stories dub that you are pulling that Nani from?
That is indeed the Ghost Stories
dub. Oh my god,
dub.
you bastard. I love you.
I went deep down a Nani YouTube soundbite rabbit hole to try and find the best one to drop in that intro. And that one just had the right cadence and the right sort of inflection that I wanted. And here we are.
This is right Scooby-Doo-esque shit.
Very Scooby-Doo-esque, yeah.
Oh my god. That is such an insane dub if you have not actually witnessed the chaos that is that dub. Recommended for the audience. Seek that shit out. It's wacky as hell.
Add that to the list. And even like on your sort of short list as far as favorite anime that you've consumed over the years, like there's a couple of heavy hitters. Like obviously Fullmetal Alchemist is one of the crown jewels of anime itself, but one you also mentioned that doesn't get anywhere near enough love and respect is Anohana, the flower that we saw that day. I absolutely adore and obsess over this anime. It is so beautiful and so sweet. Only 11 episodes, but it is 11 episodes of perfection, and I'd love more, but obviously the story and how it wraps is perfect, but I would watch this anime forever if I could.
I love a good, like, short anime that manages to, like, tie up all the loose ends really quickly. Mm-hmm. And fun fact, even though it's slightly embarrassing, I think to this day, my most viewed YouTube video that I've ever posted is me reacting to the last episode of that and just crying like an absolute child.
There you go. Well, it is well worth your tears. It is such a beautiful story, and little Menma, she will ever own a piece of my heart. She's such a beautiful little soul, but just the story that plays out over those 11 episodes is fantastic. And like you said, it's just a short, tight, sweet, full story with a great beginning, fantastic middle, and then the end is just chef's kiss and chef's tears, like you said. Like, I was very emotional watching this one.
Absolutely. And I mean, like, if there is any anime that isn't able to do, like, characterization, I will point to, like, that one scene with Popo and be like, you can do it. It takes, like, a few lines to absolutely send through a character. Like, yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, you know, I've got a lot of stuff that I love, and that is definitely one of them.
Yeah, it is phenomenal. Definitely add it to your list, listeners, if you haven't checked out Anohana, because Absolutely. Yeah, it's just beautiful. Like, it's 12 years old, or maybe close to 13 now, as we record here at the back end of September. But it holds up so very, very well. So animation's great. Voice acting, whether it be sub or dub, is fantastic, and the story is just perfection.
Amazing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I guess before we get too far down this anime rabbit hole, I'm very briefly touched on some of the things you do and the various hobbies and fun times that you take part in, but maybe we'll sort of throw the microphone over to you and you can sort of give us a little bit of the Sam backstory. Tell us, a bit more about who you are, what you do or have done or continue to do, wherever you want to take us on this Sam journey. The floor is yours.
Sure. Well, I mean, to do the typical kind of anime backstory, I'm like a lot of people, someone who got into it through the old cheese TV. There was a little bit of Pokemon, but I will say probably more leaning on the side of Digimon, I must say.
Oh,
and
divisive.
Well, here's the thing, like everyone compares like Pokemon and Digimon. Anime-wise, nah. Digimon, like it's shorter seasons, they're not like trying to have this, like Ash, he's like 10, he's been 10 for like 50 years, but whatever, just go with it. Makes a lot more sense to me. But like I kind of went off for a little bit, came back into it during secondary college, going through like the Death Note kind of classic, I'm getting back into anime kind of anime. And kind of went from there, like really got into the whole geeky side of, pretty much everything. In the subsequent years, I've started a podcast. Well, not started, but joined a podcast, The Inconsolables, which is...
Great podcast. Podcast.
Fantastic podcast. Might be ending soon-ish, depending on exactly when the episode ended up going out. So, yeah. But I'm very much someone who has kind of tastes all over the place. For example, I own 6 manga. 3 of them are 3 volumes of Sweetness and Lightning. A very, very, very cute, manga about like cooking and like at one point, we're doing like we're not going to have any lumps in this sauce kind of dance. Very cute. On the other hand, I also have a volume of Parasite, as well as Dissolving Classroom and Uzumaki by Junji Ito. So we got a range.
Both ends of the anime or manga spectrum just there, listing those titles off, that's for sure.
I mean, I like all kinds. I think what I've found recently, especially with being diagnosed as ADHD, is that I just like stuff that's interesting and weird and novel and is taking me places that I haven't really been before. And anime is a fucking great medium for doing that.
It's just about the best medium, to be honest, or even if you combine anime and manga together, because written or drawn based content is always easier to consume than just this text or audible based stuff. Or at least for me, like it allows my mind to picture and go on these journeys a little bit more. And a couple of the ones you mentioned there, like Parasite, amazing. Phenomenal thriller, science fiction, horror, whatever you want to classify it as, with such a great, unique concept. And the Ito stuff, I find the manga to be far, far, far better than the anime adaptations. I have a real hard time with the anime adaptations watching the Junji Ito stuff because it's still cool, but it doesn't hit the same way for me.
I've definitely heard some people talking about this, and the best thing that I've heard in that respect is that kind of the physical act of having to turn the page kind of involves you almost in the story a bit, in that, like you'll have one character going like, oh God, what the hell's over here? Oh, I'm freaked out. And then you have to kind of, essentially like open the door yourself and see that's horrors within.
That's great, actually. Yeah, I think that's a very sound way to describe it. It's like playing a horror game in like a horror video game where you're pushing forward, you're making this character go through that doorway or down that set of stairs almost against their will in a way where, that sort of act of turning the page is the same thing. You'd be like, no, I'm done here. You could close that book and go to bed, but no, you got to keep progressing. And it's that sense of suspense as what is going to be on that next page or through that door. Whereas
like the anime is kind of a little bit more passive. I mean, truth be told, I haven't like watched any of the Ito animes primarily because I haven't heard great things about them. But I imagine it's probably because of reasons like that it's, it kind of like people don't consider how much the medium changes like the actual like interacting with the thing itself,
That's very true. That is very true. But sadly, the Junji Ito anime trend. Like, it's still an enjoyable watch. They're still fine. There's still some very creepy moments that have translated from page to screen, but yeah, it just didn't grab me the same way it did flicking through those manga panels. But
Yeah.
it's okay. It's okay. Something that's better than okay, though, man, is Pyro. Tell us about that.
Yes. So I make music under the name Pyrite, Pyryte. You could check me out on Spotify. I think it also goes onto YouTube and all that other stuff. I've actually seen like when I've like looked it up, it's also on like TikTok. So like, there's tons of ways you could do it, and I have a distributor, so they take care of all that for me. And also, I've got something new coming out October 20th, which I called Echoes of Unease, which is like me doing some like horror-inspired stuff. You know, it's not
Okay.
yeah, kind of inspired by like. Have you ever watched Cam? That's a fantastic movie. I'm just saying.
No, I haven't. I don't even know what it is, if I'm being completely honest. So
It's,
tell me about Cam.
Netflix. It's a Netflix movie starring Madeline Brewer, who I believe was in The Handmaid's Tale, and it is creepy as hell, and I've inspired a song on it, and it is one of those horror movies where I'm generally kind of slightly unnerved by it, because it's like not a slasher, it's like this cam girl who essentially finds that someone is broadcasting as her, like on her channel, and kind of it just spirals so quickly out of there. Anyway, might be going on a bit of a tangent.
That's all right. We love a good tangent here, and I'll certainly add that to the watch list, because I love a good bit of creepy, like grounded or realistic horror, like that true horror that's relatable, that you can go, I can see this actually happening in real life. That's the stuff that gets me the most. So I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's like almost like a social horror. You know, and you know, me being autistic, I'm just like, oh, what if this actually happened? What if someone put, I don't know, the N-word in my Twitter timeline or something? I don't know. And I refuse to call it X. It's Twitter.
Yeah, and until the URL changes from like twitter.com to x.com.
Even then, I'm just good. Even if it like slightly upsets Elon. Just like...
Yeah, he sucks. He sucks. But something that doesn't suck is anime. But I guess it can, because I'd love to know, like, what do you love most about this beautiful, sexy genre? And what do you dislike most about it, if you've got such divisive feelings? Like, what do you gravitate towards? Like, clearly with what you mentioned with your manga and even your anime choices, it's a wide gamut as far as tone and feeling and vibe and certain tropes that you may or may not enjoy. But yeah, give us some high points and maybe some low points if you've got them.
Oh, that's tough, because the thing is, like I do like a lot of things, and the thing is, kind of ironically, if I had to pick one genre I like the least, it would probably be shonen. But I can kind of... It depends, because like when it comes to shonen, there's like lots of little tropes that are associated with shonens that kind of eke me out. You know, the whole kind of power creep, the whole like, you know, like look at like the big 3 or 4 where they've got like, oh, we've got several hundred episodes. Like, I'm sure that this narrative can just continue and continue and continue and not get stale at any point. But yeah, it's little things like that. It's more the tropes, I feel, than any specific genre. Like, obviously, I guess if there's like, here's an anime for 5-year-olds, I might not be as into that as something that's a bit more maturely rated. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of all over the place. I'm also tempted to just be like, what's my anime list got for me? I know I hated School Days. That was terrible.
I haven't. It's been on my watch list for a little while, but I haven't gotten to it yet. So I'm happy that I haven't, because that was a very blunt review as far as
let me put it to you this way. I found out about School Days because of what happens at the end. Mm-hmm. And what happens at the end is literally like the last maybe 10 minutes of the entire show. And the rest of it is just like people being shitty to each other. Okay. So it's just like, so by the end I was kind of like, yeah, maybe, yeah, okay, all right. But like, it was just so much just like people like, you know, cheating on people for no reason and that kind of stuff. It's dumb. I'm trying not to spoil, but I'm kind of spoiling.
That's fair. It sounds like it's not a must watch for any potential listeners out there, but
just watch the last 10 minutes. That's fun.
Just the last 10?
Something like that. You'll know what I'm talking about when you see it.
That's it. But it's funny you mentioned shonen just before, and it just so happens.
What a coincidence!
Yeah, the title in focus for this episode of More Than Hentai is as follows. My Hero Academia is an award-winning superhero manga series written and illustrated by Kohei Hirokoshi. It has been serialized in Weekly Shonen Jump since July of 2014. Since then, the series has expanded into light novels, stage plays, and various types of merchandise and media, including numerous video games and an insanely successful anime series produced by Bones that debuted in April of 2016. It currently spans 6 seasons, 8 OVAs, and 3 animated films, with a live-action film and a 7th season currently in planning and on the way in the years to come. My Hero Academia Season 1, because we're only sort of looking at Season 1 and also going more granular, talking about Episode 1 of Season 1, it currently holds a score of 7.88 on my anime list, and that is based on 2 million individual user scores. And the story of My Hero Academia is as follows. The appearance of newly discovered superpowers called quirks has been steadily increasing over the years, with 80% of humanity now possessing various abilities. This leaves the remainder of the world completely powerless, and Izuku Midoriya is one such individual. Since he was a child, the ambitious middle schooler has wanted nothing more than to be a hero. Izuku's unfair fate leaves him admiring heroes and taking notes on them wherever he can, but it seems that his persistence has borne some fruit. Izuku meets the number one hero and his personal idol, All Might. All Might's quirk is a unique ability that can be inherited, and he has chosen Izuku to be his successor. Enduring many months of grueling training, Izuku enrolls in UA High, a prestigious high school famous for its excellent hero training program. With his bizarre but talented classmates and the looming threat of a villainous organization, Izuku will soon learn what it really means to be a hero. So, Sam, we are going to be diving in on the first episode known as Izuku Midoriya Origin. And for listeners, if this is your first time stopping on by to More Than Hentai, the way it works is we're going to be deep diving on the first episode of a particular anime. Obviously, this anime in question is My Hero Academia. We're going to be covering the full episode front to back, so there will be a lot of spoiler-based discussion. We will not expand beyond that and sort of ruin major plot points and major twists and developments in the broader show itself. But this first episode, everything is fair game. So, if you don't want anything to be spoiled, I'll probably stop the episode right now. But otherwise, we are going to be unpacking it, not beat by beat. We're just going to be jumping around, talking about the high points, the low points, some cool things that happened, and everything else in between. But Sam, what were your first initial thoughts on the first episode of My Hero Academia?
I had a lot of thoughts. Firstly, the thing is, the first episode is so weirdly character heavy, because I kind of went into this hoping for, shall we say, the kind of stuff that we get near the end of the season, as opposed to this where it's like, let's look at Midoriya. Let's talk about Midoriya. Midoriya's the most special boy. He's the important one. He's the protagonist. Make sure you understand that. It's entirely from his perspective. It's him. Whereas I was kind of like, I'm hoping for where we get a nice even-handed, everyone kind of gets to hold the talking stick for a little bit kind of thing.
Not in this first episode, we don't.
No, it's a lot of
he even does his own voiceover work.
Yeah,
he does the narration as well.
Fair enough. So he is the main character of the universe.
Yeah.
Well, either that or fucking All Might, because everyone's just fucking horny for him. But yeah, it was very interesting to see the extent to which Midoriya and Bakugo, having their will they, won't they. Don't feel free to not spoil, but do they fuck at any point?
Oh, I can't confirm nor deny if the romance boils over into something more and UA becomes a little bit of a sex pit. But yeah, the episode opens with we get sort of a very young Midoriya. He'd be no more than 5 years old, something like that. He's young and optimistic, and we get these first scenes where
Yeah, as a flashback.
He's there just as a young little kiddo, already sort of fighting the good fight and trying to defend this kid that's getting bullied by Bakugo and a couple of other little bastard kids.
Yeah.
And then we sort of see Midoriya just gets towed up and you see him sort of laying on the ground, knocked out almost.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Like the thing that I find so weird about this is they kind of are constantly establishing that like Bakugo has this like vibe of like, I'm better than you. You're beneath me. I'm not going to even waste my time with you. And then, like, you know, Midoriya says literally anything. It's like, what? Am I supposed to listen to that? What? Am I supposed to be paying attention to you now? It's like, it's very weird. Like, that's why I think there has to be some kind of thing going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's like you can see very early on that Bakugo's got this very high sense of himself where he's better than everybody around because he's got a great quirk and he's just a badass little kid and he's going to fight everybody and he's going to become the most famous hero and make all the money and all the fame and all that. So I feel a lot of it probably comes from insecurity. As you see, most of the people would have the chest the most puffed up and are spruiking themselves the highest, usually the ones that are the smallest internally. So maybe there's a bit of that. Yeah,
usually if you're the best and everybody knows it, then you don't have to tell them at every opportunity. Yeah. I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah, we get them sort of very young, and in these sort of opening couple of minutes, we get the very first supervillain reference before it cuts into this banger of an open. The song's called The Day, and the artist that did it, Porno Graffiti, is the artist's name, which is a hell of an artist name. What a great artist name for this children's anime that we're devising. I can't help but chuckle when I was sort of putting it in my notes. I'm like, oh, that was a choice by Bones and the production company to, I guess, tie sort of young prepubescent adults and school-based drama with Porno Graffiti. But it's a hell of a jam. And like you mentioned... we don't get much exposure to the broader cast apart from this intro where we see a lot of the, I guess, soon to be announced or introduced characters at UA High or the villains or whatever, because it doesn't really sort of explain who's who apart from the one shot at the end of the open where you see Midoriya and I guess his class all standing together united. But you get these really quick sort of transitions. We see a lot of these other heroes. We don't know who's who, what they do. Are they good? Are they bad? Are they somewhere else in between? We get this banger of an intro. And something that they show constantly in this intro as well is this rivalry between Midoriya and Bakugo, where they get sort of, they're standing looking at each other when they're 5, and then it transitioned to when they're teenagers and they're sort of back to back and still sort of against each other. Like they're rivals. Like, Midoriya, he doesn't have like a bad bone in his body. Like, he sees the best in everybody, but Bakugo just sees Midoriya as nothing because, as I mentioned earlier, like 80% of the entire world have quirks now, and that could be something amazing, or it could be something like Midoriya's mum who can lift small things and pull them towards herself.
Well, I will say, like, one thing that I was kind of hoping for, even though I get the impression that we're not going to get it, is I kind of almost wanted, like, the kind of Detective Pikachu-esque thing where we kind of see, like, okay, well, what does a society look like when, like, 80% of the people have superpowers? Like, are there people with electricity powers who are working as, like, electricians? Or, like, you know, do we have, like, plumbers with, you know, hydrokinesis and shit? And I'm just like... I don't know, I just find that shit interesting. Like, I'm like, that would, like, mess with stuff. And also, additionally to that, like, surely you can't have 80% of the population doing one job. Or, like, technically 2 jobs, if you consider supervillain and superhero to both be separate jobs. Like, I don't know. I'm just interested in stuff like that. I like seeing mundane utility with that kind of stuff.
I love that. And like I think it's close to about 140 episodes. I don't have the episode count off the top of my head over these six seasons so far. But I think we do get some very mundane showcases of the lesser quirks, or I guess you could say people that don't go the hero route, but they're just working normal jobs, but they've got an ability. So we do see that weaved in. But it is funny because we sort of get this intro and then Midoriya in the narration, he's like, you know, it was the age of heroes and setting the stage really early, and then we first meet Death Arms, the punching hero, as he's known for. And then we get Backdraft, the rescue specialist, who's like a human fire hose thing. Yeah. But like you mentioned, if they're using their quirks for, I guess, resource management or like utility, Kamui Woods, who I guess he's like made out of wood or can turn his arms into wood. Can he like just continually chop his arms up to give like a healthy supply of wood to like houses and restaurants to stoke their fires? Like, is that something you think Kamui Woods could do?
I mean, I feel like that we could be getting a little bit too close to kind of, you know, like existential questions of like, you know, what is one's body and what is giving of oneself, kind of, you know, like it could kind of get a little bit weird, a little bit too highbrow for the children.
Think of the amount of money, like you think of OnlyFans and like bathwater. Kamui Wood could make like wood penises or just like wood whatever and just sell it as a profit on like an online store. And like they emphasize in this first episode a lot, talking about getting paid the most money and celebrity and fame.
Well, you got the fucking, what was her name, like Miss Mountain or something.
Mount Lady.
Like, yeah, you could just have a giant bathtub.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you could sell so much fucking bathwater.
That's the smart move there, Matt. Yeah, so Kamui Woods comes in because they're fighting this sort of, I guess you could say, like D-grade supervillain. He's like stolen the lady's purse, and now he's just standing on like a bridge, and all the heroes come rushing in, and Mount Lady comes in and sort of steals Kamui Woods' thunder, who came in, and he's sort of doing all the cool stuff, and he's about to do his super move, but then Mount Lady just charges in and does her move that she calls Canyon Cannon. I love in a shonen, or I love in anime in general, where they yell out their abilities and their moves. It's one of my favorite things in anime. It's so dumb, but I just love it, and it makes me smirk every single time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what I will also say is, like, this is like kind of the first opportunity where we get to see like heroes in their fully like kitted out outfits and everything. Mm-hmm. And that was also fucking cool to me, like kind of seeing like all the different designs and all the different ways that they're kind of like trying to showcase their ability. And again, really cool. Like, that's absolutely the kind of shit that I'm here in this anime for, to kind of see like this world that they've created and kind of see some of the more intricacies and see like how there might be like, you know, some rivalries kind of coming into this, which isn't just, you know, like, I'm more powerful than you. You know, it's like, I'm using sex appeal to kind of win over affection.
It's great. And I think you hit on a fantastic note there as far as the customization and seeing the individual personalities shine. Like, we only meet a very small handful of heroes and a few villains, but yeah, they're all very distinctive in look and feel, and that sort of weaves in. Like, it's a very minor spoiler, but like when you go to UA High, which is, you know, the hero school, you go there and you design your hero costume. So it's kind of cool that they allow you to personalize your look and feel to, I guess, really show who you are as a person or as a hero. So yeah, I do like that little touch. I think it's a cool little touch because instead of them all just being in, you know, X-Men suits or something like that, they're all very unique and distinctive. And like you touched on, like, it didn't take us too long. It was within the first like 6 minutes where we get a little bit of cheesy sexploitation there, where Mount Lady's coming in and she's knocked out the baddie, and then she poses and she knows what she's doing, and like all the creepy press and paparazzi like, oh, money shot, and she's showing a big giant buns because she's currently like 20 stories tall at the time. But it was super funny. And apart from the money shot part, the other thing that I enjoyed in this scene is where we're seeing the heroes mixing in with just the average Joes or just the normal people. And there's one guy just casually calls up his work. You know, they're all just generic, you know, Japanese men and women in suits and stuff. And he calls up and he's like, sorry, boss, I'm going to be late today. Supervillains just derailed the train again. Don't know how long I'm going to be, but I'll see you soon. So it's kind of cool that they weave that into. It's like, oh, this is just a common thing now. Like, it just happens and we just deal with it. Like, it's cool that they normalize it like that.
Yeah. It's always interesting to see kind of how some stories kind of do those kinds of things. I'm reminded of Welcome to Night Vale, where like the entire idea of it is, oh, like, you know, like all the conspiracies, aliens, here's a dog park, you're not allowed to go to the dog park, don't look at the dog park, and it's all very kind of normal. And in a similar way, I kind of like how they've, kind of humanize this and make this into kind of a normal thing, even though I imagine we're immediately rocketing over to superhero land and just kind of leaving the whole normalcy thing behind.
Yeah, it's very well executed, and we get a little bit of more narration from Midoriya here, talking about 80%. This influx of heroes. They've become what they're known as peacekeepers, and they're overseen or / regulated by the government. The most powerful superheroes get advertising deals and money and fame and all that kind of stuff. So there is a heavy dose of celebrity attached to all these quirk wielding heroes. And then we see in this scene as well, because Midoriya is there on his way to school and he's diligently writing notes in his book about what he just saw Mount Lady do and Kamui Woods and stuff. And then it cuts. And then it cuts to high school, like just the normal high school where Midoriya and Bakugo are attending, and we get the teacher sort of saying, "Oh, it's about that time, kids, where you got to decide your future. But it just so happens I know you're all going to be wanting to become heroes." And they're all like, "Yeah," and they all immediately pop their quirks at once, and you can sort of see they're all just a bunch of bums. Like there's a pencil head guy, a stretchy neck person, someone with a long nose, someone that had rock fists, someone's hair was just spiky. There's even like a big eared one. Like there wasn't really any winners in this room apart from Bakugo, who's got like explodey power fists and can do all these things. Yeah, and he's in there,
ego.
Talking shit about everybody in class. But then especially Midoriya, because he wants to go to UA High as well, gets laughed out of the classroom just about, because we find out it's got a 0.2% acceptance rate of students that are coming into the school. But he wants to go in there and he just gets run down by everyone in the room. And it's a bit of a shitty time. Like, kids are cruel, man. Kids are cruel.
Yeah. I mean, like, it is very interesting, though, to see all these different powers, because one thing I love about some of the, like, anime shit that I've seen with superpowers in it is they do weird as fuck powers.
And some of the ones in My Hero are so bizarre or so dumb, but I love them.
But that's the thing that I fucking love about them, though, is that they're weird and dumb, but it's like, okay, here's the thing that you have, and, maybe you have, like, some weird side effect or something. But, like, okay, you want to use this to help people? Now you got to be fucking creative. That is what I fucking love. Because then you kind of go like, oh, okay, this guy just has, spiky hair. What's he going to do? And then you kind of see it in action. And then it's like, oh, that's an interesting strategy. That's what I love about this shit.
I do like that they empower everybody in this show, regardless of if you have glorified tape dispensers in your elbows or you have stereo headphone jacks on your earlobes. Like you said, they've all got utility and they all play
except
a part.
For Midoriya.
Yeah, poor little quirkless Midoriya, but
fucking loser Midoriya, but you go to UA.
And it's sort of these sort of few minutes here in the following scenes after that school, it's all pretty sad. Like after the part where he's getting made fun of at his school, it jumps to the next scene where we see this green slime villain that's robbed a store and just general population like, where's all the heroes? Where are they at? And then we get All Might, who's coming out of a general store, and we sort of see the silhouette, and he's just sort of like meek in stature at first. Then you see him All Might up, and you get one of his very traditional like, I am here lines about, saving the day. And you sort of get the tone set Superman. As far as All Might. Yeah, he's Superman with some sweet, sweet hair. I'll tell you now.
Yeah. And I will have to say, like, a much more interesting weakness than, Green Rock.
Yeah.
So it is interesting. Like, my initial kind of vibe on it was like, ooh, are we going to pull like a Homelander or something? Like, how are we going to make this not just it is Superman? So, it kind of got me a little bit intrigued in that way.
It gave us just a little taste of All Might in that scene, and then it jumps back to the school again, and this part was really fucking heavy.
Yeah.
Bakugo and Midoriya having an exchange, and Midoriya's got his notebook. Bakugo grabs it, sets it on fire, throws it out the window, pretty much not in these exact words, but he's like, you're trash, you're useless, go away. And then he goes, Midoriya, why don't you kill yourself and then think about when you sort of come back alive with quirks? Like, so he's talking about, Midoriya jumping off a building and committing suicide like it's nothing. And it's so jarring, this scene.
I mean, what I will say is, I mean, maybe I should have, looked into who did the opening, but this was definitely a moment where I was just like, so you said we talk about suicide, and this is a kids show. Are you sure? Are you sure? We're talking about suicide in a kids show.
Yeah, porno, graffiti, and suicide.
Yeah, that was definitely a bit of a moment of like, is Japan just like have like, different vibes on it, or like, is this actually not 100% for children? Is this more like, is this a seinen and not a shonen? Like,
Yeah, it certainly it took me by surprise because I totally forgot about that scene when I was doing the rewatch this afternoon. I was like, oh, okay, we're going there. All right, fair enough.
Yeah, like we again, like, wow, Bakugo, like, baby, just keep it in your pants or see a therapist or something. Like, damn.
Yeah, right. he's got some deep rooted issues of Bakugo because he just laughs it off like it's nothing and then just leaves the classroom. And then we get another flashback to Midoriya when he's like, 3 to 4 years old. And you can see his early obsession with heroism and how he just wants to be the best. And
like, no, I never
he tells
was.
his mom, it's time. I want to watch my show, watch my video again. So she chucks him in front of the computer. And yet we see the gif that does the rounds of Midoriya doing the sort of zoned out headbang sort of thing. And we find out that his favorite video is the first, the debut of All Might, where All Might first appears and saves a gajillion people. And you can see pretty quickly, like you said, like All Might's set up to be the Superman. He's the embodiment of hope, the goodest of good. And he's a beast, like he's a giant mountain of a man. And he's, I don't know if you call it like, are they like inverse bangs? Like his fringe is just shooting straight up. Like the two fringe strands are amazing.
Yeah, he's got like some rabbit ears going on.
Yeah, it's something. And we get that very, you get used to it very quick as you watch the seasons progress, but we get his laugh and then his big larger-than-life quotes. It's like, hope has arrived and all this. Yeah. And it's a cute moment because baby Midoriya, he's very adorable. He's such a cute little optimistic, beautiful kid, and he just wants the best. And he just wants to save people.
He's just like me, like 10 years ago. Before the pandemic. I mean, he's a very cute kid. But here's the thing, like, so he gets very upset about, like, well, I don't have a quirk. I'm one of the people that doesn't have a quirk. And his response is like, I'm going to be a hero by doing nothing and taking some notes and not doing any kind of physical training and not trying to be, I don't know, like a cop or something, or cops or bastards or whatever. Like, you could do something instead of just being like, well, I didn't, get born into being a superhero. Like, come on.
But that scene, because after the video scene with him watching the All Might video on repeat, I can imagine. It then jumps to Midoriya and his mum in hospital with the doctor sort of, I guess, getting the quirk diagnosis as far as, what kind of hero am I going to be, doc? And the doc's pretty much just stomps on his dreams and be like, you won't develop a quirk because you don't have a single jointed pinky toe. Apparently there's it coincides with quirks where if you've got one joint in your pinky toe because the body has become streamlined, as they say, that usually implies that you've got a mad quirk. But he's got a double joint in his pinky toe, so Midoriya is going to live a quirkless life, and he's devastated.
I guess we should be thankful that he doesn't immediately, steal some kind of hammer and then just wail on his own pinky toe or something. It's like, I need to be a superhero.
But there's a moment here too, like where, like you said earlier, like you start questioning if this show's for kids because he's back there in front of the computer watching that All Might video on repeat and his eyes are welled up. They're full of tears because he's broken because his dream's just been ruined. And his mum comes in And he asks his mum, like, you know, am I still, like, can I still be a hero? And instead of her doing, I guess, the generic parent thing where, you know, they lie for the greater good and be like, of course you can, Midoriya. You're going to be the best hero. She's just like, no, I'm sorry. It's not happening. And you get, like, even with the narration that Midoriya is doing over the top of that, you can see, like, that's a really big break point in his life.
I don't know. Like, the thing is, like, with Midoriya, like, he's one of those characters that, for me, I'm constantly like, oh, this little shit. And then I'm like, oh, wait. He's, you know, I'm just like, oh, he's very, you know, passive and very nervous. It's just like, I hate. And then I'm like, wait, no, that's me. This is exactly what I was saying to my therapist. Shit. So then I end up kind of sort of liking him and sort of disliking him and trying to kind of find a good balance with that. But yeah, like this whole thing of like, it was such a like slightly annoying scene to me because like obviously like the mother doesn't want to do this and he's just like, why didn't you just lie to me and tell me it could be, it's all gonna be all right. Why didn't you just let me play in the minefield? It's just like, what is happening? Just like, figure it out. I don't know. Like, what's the mum supposed to fucking do in this context? Just be like, actually, he was a CIA operative who was lying to you to make sure that you don't try and be a superhero or something. Like,
she could have just said, not all heroes have powers. She could have said that, and you know what? That would have been enough because that's not a hard yes or a hard no. But if I was at that age and someone said that, I'd be like, that's enough for me to stop crying now and think I can make a change on this deep, dark world.
Yeah, you could be just like, hey, learn how to play an instrument. People like listening to music. I don't know. Yeah. Be a music hero or something. That's your quirk.
Oh, he could be guitar hero.
You could just be like, your quirk is that you can watch a lot of YouTube. I don't know, like, figure it, just, I don't know. I don't know what this little shit wants.
Yeah, like, she could have handled it better, but...
He could have handled it better.
Yeah, also, but he's like 5. That is true. He's a baby. So I give him a bit of a pass, but then in the Midoriya narration over the top, he gets, you know, he says, you know, no matter what anyone else thinks, all I have to do is, like, believe in myself type of thing. So...
yeah.
That sort of lack of doubt or lack of support from his mum or the doctor, he's like, you know what? Screw you all. I'm going to be a hero either way. Quirkless or not, I'm going to be the best like no one ever was.
See, again, I totally love that. I totally agree that that's fantastic. He doesn't actually fucking do anything, though. He just does a lot of writing, which is cool, but also, I don't know, do some push-ups.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He doesn't really think it through as far as optimizing his body at that age. Yeah, so...
Yeah. He is a very, very, very serious case of anime protagonists. Yeah. Just like, I'm the protagonist, it's just gonna happen. I don't know.
But then that sort of stage gets set because he's walking home from school and that slime villain we mentioned earlier appears out of the sewer, grabs Midoriya. We find out that this slime villain pretty much can just like assimilate into people's bodies and like wear them as a suit, as a skin suit, which is pretty heavy.
So like, again, this is for children. Like, that scene looks like, watching that scene looks more like watching, shall we say, a very aggressive sexual assault. Like, that does not look like, oh, wacky villain, he's gonna go into the guy and it's gonna be bad. It's just like, this is terrifying.
Yeah, it's not a good time. And Midoriya, being quirkless, has nothing to do but just stand there or take all this guy's slime. But then we get the legendary... That's a euphemism right there. Yeah. We won't go any deeper on that one, even though Slime Villain wanted to go very deep. But we sort of then hear that very distinctive vocal delivery of All Might again. And All Might pops out, woozes the slime up, manages to put the slime villain into a bottle somehow, like a little plastic bottle, just because. But then Midoriya, because he's meeting his hero, he's meeting his idol, he's meeting his god on earth, is just all kinds of shook. but just wants to get to know him and has all these questions. And as All Might's like, gotta go, got other people to save. And he goes to fly away. Midoriya grabs onto him. And so they're flying through the sky. And All Might's like, you gotta let go. This isn't right. And he's like, if I let go, I might die. And so they land. And Midoriya is trying to, I guess, get confirmation from his hero that can I be a hero even though I'm quirkless? And it's a big moment because this episode ends open-ended on this, where he's sort of asking for validation from All Might about, confirm, can I be a hero without powers? But before that, as they land, you can see not all it seems with All Might, because as they're flying, All Might coughs up a little bit of blood. And tying into the more adult theme of this show again, he says, shit, as he's coughing up a little bit of blood. So we can see that the all-powerful All Might maybe also might not be as all-powerful as we think. Yeah, he drops some cuss. He's bleeding. He's broken inside potentially. And we end on this moment where Midoriya is like, please give me some validation. And in the narration again, he goes, I didn't realize at this time, but that chance encounter would change the course of my future. And then credits roll. So that's where it ends. What's your thoughts on these final, 4 to 5 minutes where we've got Midoriya interacting with All Might, we've got the slime villain and everything else in between? So
once again, horrifying with the slime villain. But it was so dumb, just like he jumps in the air, it's like, whoa, I'm still holding on here. What the hell's happening? Very dumb. And also, with any good episode 1, you have to have a good cliffhanger to lead you into the next one. So, it absolutely did the job of, keeping me interested enough to be like, what's happening next?
I love that. That. And what did you think? You touched on it earlier as far as, Superman's biggest weakness is a green rock, but you sort of mentioned it's kind of cool to see that there's a little bit more of a human element to All Might. And we see it in that moment where he smiles and he coughs up a bit of blood and then he's like, shit. It was like, oh, what? He's flawed? He's not immortal? And
he says live cuss forever, words. Oh no. Superman would never say a cuss word. No. But yeah, I did like that we kind of saw those flaws, and I very much found them interesting going forward, because I did watch past this first episode because I'm already discussing stuff that happened at the end of this first season. But yeah, I do really appreciate that. If nothing else, because, especially later on, you really get the impression that everyone has a fucking hard on for this dude, and everyone's just like, oh, cool, we don't have to do anything anymore. All issues are completely resolved now that this guy's here. So it's nice to see that it's not quite that simple. Because if it was that simple, it'd be kind of a little bit boring.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sure that there are still some stakes there, to keep things interesting, to keep you on edge.
Yeah, I think the episode ends, like you touched on, on a nice cliffhanger where you're like, oh, damn, will he or won't he confirm that Midoriya has a chance in the hero world? What's going to happen? And I was like, oh. And even though I'm fully up to date and I've watched all 6 seasons so far and everything else that's attached to it, it was cool to go back and rewatch it several years down the track. And it made me almost go, you know what? Maybe I might start rewatching this, because it's just a good vibe. I really enjoy My Hero Academia. There is some very, very high points, and then, there is some low points and some parts where I'm like, this doesn't need to be here, as is in a lot of anime that goes above 10 to 20 episodes. We're climbing over 140 episodes with season 7, and this is going to go beyond that again. So, we'll see. But it felt good for me. It resonated for me. I was going to ask, will you continue to watch? We've already confirmed that you've watched all of season 1 now.
It's surprising that I've managed to watch more than one episode in the, what has it been, 1 week when we decided to do this? No, I've watched all of the first season primarily because I think I'd need to get a Crunchyroll sub to watch past that, and I might do that. But I've watched up to the end of season 1, and I definitely enjoy it. As I said, the thing that I like the most is kind of near the end where we start, opening things up a little bit and kind of getting to see everybody doing their own thing, which I very much like, as opposed to all the how is Midoriya gonna get out of this one, But even that was kind of interesting because you'd again get to see kind of like some of the, how do we creatively use our powers kind of stuff. And that's absolutely what I'm here for when it comes to this show. So I very much enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's really fun and seeing all these characters get introduced rapidly and at times slowly as well at UA High, and seeing how they weave into this friendship circle or rival circle or enemy, villain, hero, however you want to sort of classify the characters that start getting thrown at us. It's a good watch. And seeing all these very unique abilities. It's not all just like, oh, that's the ice guy and that's the fire guy and that's the invisible woman. It's like, it's very, like you said right at the rip, like it's very anime. It's very Japanese inspired media here because it is bizarre and bonkers at times, but it just all works and exists in this world without question.
And it's just nice to see all the different like personalities on display, even if I think Baku goes a little bit too far. But like it's still interesting to kind of see, like how all these people are kind of interacting. Some of them are way more confident with their powers, and some of them are kind of still trying to figure out like how to kind of best utilize them. And it's interesting seeing all that melting pot and everything. Yeah, and it's great, and it's weirdly like relatable in a way. Like we've all gone to school, I've all been the new kid in class, or having these awkward exchanges. We don't have quirks and whatever else, but you can relate and put yourself in some of these characters' shoes in ways, and that's the sign of good storytelling as well. But I want to know, Sam, have you got a favorite scene or favorite moment from this first episode of My Hero Academia? Oh God, from the first episode, I don't even really know. Like I guess I really like that, one kind of fight with the supervillain with all the different superheroes near the start. And I'm trying to remember the name of anyone. Cassia Woods.
Kamui Woods, Mount Lady,
Woods.
Backdraft, and Death Arms.
Yep. See, my notes are detailed, but they're not that detailed. They're mostly me bitching about like, Midoriya and shit. That was really nice because that was like a really good example of like, okay, this is the kind of stuff that I'm here for. This is the kind of stuff that I'm excited for. And this kind of gives me a sense of like, hopefully we're going to see a lot more of this stuff, as the story progresses. That was probably my favorite. I mean, there was lots of other little things, but again, most of it was just, oh God, why are you still fighting over shit?
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, it was a nice scene because it sets the tone and the expectations, I guess, as far as what My Hero Academia will or potentially will be about. So I agree. I like that, and I also was a fan of just seeing young Midoriya and how they sort of just emphasize how much he just obsesses over this hero archetype, and he just wants to do good for the world and save people. Like he's just a good boy with a big heart and a drive to be the next All Might. And we can all relate to that in a way. But I wanted to now ask you, as we go to the last word presented by Japan Crate. Experience Japan through snacks and knickknacks via monthly package drops courtesy of japancrate.com. And while you're there, be sure to use 8bit15 at checkout. So Sam, what is your last word on My Hero Academia?
I only had one word. Good.
You can use more words if you like.
Well, that's the thing. Every time you go like, it's the last word, and then someone says a paragraph, I'm like, hold on, one moment. That's not how this works at all.
Yeah, we're very fast and loose with the rules here. Last words.
I think it's decent. I think it's, a good... A good first episode, and as with all good first episodes, I don't feel like I could fully judge the anime based off it. Yep. But it has my attention, and it hooked me in for the second episode, and that's all you can ask for.
Amen to that. So you feel that my anime list 7.88 out of 10 is a pretty fair and valid score for not only episode 1, but for spoilers maybe for season 1?
I mean, I was pretty happy that it was like 7.88, and I wasn't going to be like, yeah, it's not, like I was expecting 10, and I was going to be like, oh no, people are going to attack me. I mean, I was feeling for maybe the first season, like maybe around a 7 or about a 6. You know, I'm excited to see more of it. But like what I saw in season 1 was like it was decent, but I want more. I want more of the thing. Come on, give me just a little bit more of what I'm after. Come on, just a little bit more.
Well, that's good. That's good. It's better to be wanting a little bit more than be like, I'm out, I'm done, I'm moving on to something else. So. Yeah, it sounds like we've selected and discussed a great anime here that you're going to enjoy for days, weeks, months, years to come. Maybe, who knows?
Sure.
Who knows? But yeah, if listeners, if you're still on the fence about My Hero Academia, here's a couple of other anime that is often compared or spoken in the same breath as My Hero Academia as far as mutual friends or recommendations go. So if you're a fan of One Punch Man, Black Clover, Naruto, Assassination Classroom, or Hunter x Hunter, there's a chance that you will be digging and vibing with My Hero Academia as well. But Sam, that brings us to the end of another episode of More Than Hentai. Thank you so much for stopping on by and riffing the greatness that is anime with me. For one last time, where can the listeners find you and all the fantastic things that you do?
Yeah, well, you can find me on Twitter. I'm refusing to call it X, Sammydeege, SAMMYDEEDGE. And I mean, that's Sammydeege is kind of, my Twitter, my TikTok. You can check out my music, Pyrites on Spotify, or you can do Pyrites_music on Twitter if I'm able to access that account. PYRYTE_music for that one. And I don't know. Life is chaos. Hopefully you'll be hearing from me soon on guesting on something, if not on my podcast, The Inconsolables, while it's still running.
Hell yeah. Check out The Inconsolables. They came up at about exactly the same time as I did in the AU podcast space many, many years ago. And it's been a great ride that we've been on directly and indirectly. So check out The Inconsolables, check out Pyrite, check out all the good things that Sammydeege here does on the regular. Be sure to follow myself at Brendan8bit. Be sure to follow 8bit as a whole at We Are 8bit. Be sure to rate, review, subscribe this podcast and all the other podcasts out there. But listeners, whether you're anime be subbed, dubbed, or still yet to come, enjoy yourself, stay hungry, and much love to all the gorgeous waifus out there. Goodbye.